So we've just returned from 3 months in Lisbon.
That's a quarter of a year to give you another perspective because it really felt like we were living there. So we wanted to talk about some of the pros and cons of our experience of living in Portugal.
As we've said in previous episodes, we love Portugal.
Still do.
We love Lisbon especially. We made lots of good friends and just love the people overall. Beautiful weather, amazing city, very colorful, very vibrant, very dynamic.
Lots of hills, lots of great hiking, it's really amazing. It really is amazing. I don't take any of that back.
No, and we loved being able to go to a market and get fresh food every day. That was wonderful.
And it's close to other places that are really like another world, like Porto and Nazaré and the Algarve. All those are within reach. So it is a really nice centralized city to be in. And we do still feel that way about it.
We love Porto too. It's absolutely beautiful, very historical. It's got the river right there as well. And right around it, you've got the Douro Valley for wine. Yeah. And if you go up north, you've got Ponte de Lima, which is just a fabulous village that we have friends that are moving there because it's so affordable and it's absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, very green and lush.
And the Camino de Santiago runs right through it.
So we went down south and we stopped in Nazaré. Nazaré was amazing.
We got to see some of the big wave surfers, which has been on my bucket list, and it was incredible. We absolutely loved it. I could have stayed there all day watching them.
The day we were there ended up being the first day that they actually had big waves during this season. Yeah. And just serendipitously, there was a drone guy that was shooting it while we were there. And the footage, he posted the footage later, and I'll put some here. It's unbelievable. And you should definitely, we'll put a link below. You should definitely go check it out. It's something else. And that town is just magical if you're a wave freak.
And we are.
And we are wave freaks.
Where else did we go? So we went down to the Algarve, and that was very relaxing. We went to the beautiful new W Hotel and hung out and just recuperated from our COVID escapade and, explored a little bit, not as much as we wanted to, but we've been in the Algarve before and a lot of really charming, sweet towns. The beaches are gorgeous. Lots of expats. Everybody speaks English.
Yeah.
But for us, it's a little too much like SoCal. It's like trading one thing for another that's too similar.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it might be a great place to put on workshops and things like that, which is something that we're talking about. So I think that we would and will be utilizing the Algarve either for vacations or for workshops or for something like that could be in our future. But it's not somewhere we want to live 24/7. Some of the challenges that came up when we looked at Lisbon as a long-term home included cost. It's not as cheap as we thought it was. And when we started looking at apartments that we would actually want to be in for a year or two, they were comparable to California costs or even New York costs. They were very high. I know we're a little bit, we have champagne taste, but the fact is we really want to live in the kind of place we want to live. And to find that in Lisbon turned out to be a lot more expensive than we thought.
And I think one of our motivations, one of our drivers for moving is to, for at least temporarily, is to save money and see if we can, make our retirement money go a lot farther.
Right.
And in Lisbon, I'm not 100% sure that's true. The other thing about that kind of throws me off a bit about Lisbon is, even though it is an amazing city and there's development everywhere you look.
Yeah.
There's development everywhere you look.
Yeah.
And so there's constant construction almost everywhere. And where there isn't construction, there are still a lot of empty buildings.
Yeah, I think that's a result of the Golden Visa having pulled so many investors into Portugal, and they came and bought to invest, but they haven't moved in. So there's this weird phase it feels like it's in where the costs have gone up, but nothing else has caught up yet. So it feels like you're kind of in an odd moment in time for Portugal. So we've started thinking about that. And also there's things like noise. We talked about our neighbors in that apartment. There's also this area that we looked at that has really beautiful apartments and great views. We talked to one of the neighbors there, and the airplane patterns go right over the apartment that we were looking at, and it's constant. So that's something that, you have to at least consider that.
Yeah, and we heard that from a couple of people in a couple different areas. It's really excellent that the airport in Lisbon is usually about 15, 20 minutes away from wherever you are, which is so convenient. But the price you pay is you're very often in the flight path.
Right. We've talked about retirement a lot, but one of the realizations that we've had over this past year is that we are not the don't work and just chill out kind of people. We are find the next adventure kind of people. And that's probably going to include some business ventures because we already have some that were started. So to be honest, it's already happening. And what we have found from our friends that live in Portugal is that trying to get things done is really tricky there, right?
Yeah. I think, the one thing we heard consistently from anybody that owned a business there was that it's difficult to get things done. There's just so much bureaucracy, like there is in pretty much any European city.
That's probably true. But we know it's true there because we met so many people that actually started businesses, and they're all more frustrated than you would think. So that is something to at least consider, right?
It is something. It is a consideration for us.
Yeah. The food is great and it's fresh and all that, but one of the things that you get used to in Europe, probably everywhere, but definitely in Portugal, is that the selection, the variety of what you can get in stores is not anywhere near as wide as America.
We get used to certain brands and certain kinds of food and having access to it all the time. And, it's a different country. And of course their food is different. And of course their markets are different and the products that they have available. And there were definitely some things that I missed and couldn't wait to get back to a U.S. grocery store.
It's funny. We've spent so much of our career boosting brands and brand consciousness, and it was always about brands this and brands that. We actually missed a lot of brands when we were over there, and it's really funny that you do get emotionally attached to brands. And so, we missed some of those, and it was noticeable.
LaCroix. I missed LaCroix. God.
Let's just take a moment and talk about LaCroix, the refreshing drink with just a little bit of sparkle and a splash of natural flavors.
Yes, you can sponsor us, LaCroix. It's okay.
Or we'll just keep buying your stuff. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. Overall, we still love Lisbon. There are so many things we like about it. In Portugal, based on the places that we went to, that we explored, Lisbon is still our favorite.
Yeah, we're not committing to anything because honestly, we had our minds changed at the last minute in a way that we hadn't really thought of.
And why was that?
That was because, Cheryl, in September, when I got COVID, what we were going to do for my birthday was meet up with a bunch of friends and go to Spain. We didn't get to do that. So we decided on our way out of Portugal that we would swing by Spain and see Seville and Granada and the Alhambra, which was what we were going to do on my birthday.
One of the reasons we want to live in Europe is that you can swing by Spain, or you can swing by France, or you can swing by Italy.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible thing for us to experience as Americans.
Right. Here we can swing by Orange County. And that's about it. Well, actually, you can swing by Mexico, but the point is, this is culturally really exciting that you can do that. And so we did. And what did we find?
So we went to Sevilla first, and we didn't have anywhere near enough time there.
No.
What a gorgeous, gorgeous city. Beautiful. It was clean. Amazing flamenco, incredible sights. One of the best parks I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And really very anxious to go back to Sevilla and explore. And then we went to Granada, where
let's talk about the hotel in Spain.
Oh, right.
We stayed in this hotel in Seville that was completely out of place. I mean, someone must have been bribed a lot of money to build this because the whole city is very historically intact and has a theme and feels very thought out. And then you cross the river to our hotel, which looked like something from 2050. I mean, it's like crazy and amazing view. Look at the view from our room. It's nuts. It's like we're 23rd floor is the
29th floor.
29th floor, yeah. So it's really amazing as far as that goes, but it really was from left field. Anyway, that aside, we loved Seville and need to give it a little bit more time next time we go.
Yep. So then we went to Granada, where we were supposed to be for Cliff's birthday, and boy, was that a big surprise, because we knew about the Alhambra and we were staying in a hotel right in the Alhambra, which was okay. The hotel itself was just okay. The location is great, but we were really surprised when we went down into downtown Granada.
Although our focus was the Alhambra, we went on foot and started exploring Granada, the city, and we found it to be fascinating. It's super youthful. It's got a college down there, great restaurants, wonderful bars, and when you start going off the beaten path, there's a whole history to that town that we thought was really fascinating.
So one of the things we did was a really fabulous and very interesting walking tour of Granada and the old town part of Granada. It wasn't a hardcore walking tour. I'm gonna tell you, it's not for the faint of heart, because you really had a lot of hills and a lot of walking, but extraordinarily interesting. And that area was settled by the gypsies, who were really refugees, right?
Yeah, they were the original refugees, and they went there and were ostracized, as many refugees are, and kept outside of the city, and made them have to be a little creative about where they lived and how they lived. And what they started doing was living in caves. And some of them have become really sophisticated. People are still living in caves. When we were first pulling up to Granada, we saw caves with people living in them. We were like, did we actually just see that? Like, are there caves and people living in them? And there are, and they're all over the place. And some of them have really been turned into wonderful homes. All of them obviously have amazing wine cellars, because caves are perfect for wine.
Our wine cellars.
Yeah, they are wine cellars, but it's really unusual, and you can actually buy a cave there, which is something,
Not doing.
We're not yet.
It's not something we're doing.
I would love to buy a cave, but it doesn't fly. Some people in this room are not that into caves.
A cave.
Yeah, well,
for sure.
I think you're prejudiced against caves. But the tour was really cool, and we learned a lot. And that was exciting.
Overall, our takeaway from Granada was it was nothing at all like we expected it to be, and look forward to going back.
Yeah.
Really an impressive, beautiful, beautiful city. But it got us really starting to pay attention to Spain overall. And we have friends from Spain who have encouraged us to consider Spain as a place to move, and we've been pretty close-minded about it, honestly, because we were really locked into Portugal. Our perception is that it was more difficult to get a visa in Spain than it was in Portugal, which is very easy and very affordable.
Right.
I don't know that perception was accurate.
Well, I think they may have changed a little recently too, right?
Right. So they've added in a digital nomad visa that's going to attract a lot of expats, I think. And really the sort of resident visa that we were looking at, the D7 that we were looking at in Portugal, they have an equivalent in Spain. You just have to have more money, but it's still not exorbitant.
No, it's not a lot more money. It's just a little more money. So all of these developments have made us reconsider Spain as a place that we might want to actually check out to live. So we've decided to go back for a month and check out Spain, based in Valencia.
Right. And I think the reason for Valencia is, in doing our research, it's the #1 expat community in Spain.
Yeah.
Because it is still affordable. And from what I'm seeing, the real estate is more affordable, even more affordable than Portugal, at least in Lisbon.
Right.
And that's attractive to us. It's still quite safe. And it's a beautiful, beautiful city, and it's on some incredible beaches, which, we like that.
And we can actually speak Spanish better than we speak Portuguese. And honestly, Portuguese is really hard, and it wasn't getting any easier for us. So I think that we would be more welcome there if we spoke the language.
True. But you are, from what I understand, expected to speak the language. In Portugal, I don't think anyone expects you to speak Portuguese. It's too hard.
They all know it's too hard. Yeah, it's funny. If you know your language is so hard, maybe, I don't know, try another language.
Yes, we suggest that Portugal change their official
Portugal,
language.
if you're listening. But honestly, the Brazilian Portuguese, which was the Portuguese we were studying, is a little easier than the Portuguese. And it's I don't know why, but they just have some strange sounds that are really hard for people, including us. So Spain has a couple of, pros in the checked boxes, right?
But as I was saying, in Portugal, no one expects you really to speak Portuguese. In Spain, they expect you to speak Spanish, and you really need to. And it's Castilian Spanish, and our Spanish is Mexican.
Is it Castilian Spanish in Valencia too?
Yep. Yeah, it's Catalan in Barcelona.
Oh, okay, Catalan. That's it.
So it's Castilian Spanish, and so that's okay though. I think it's much easier for us to learn Castilian Spanish than it is for us to learn Portuguese from scratch.
Yeah. So Spain is now a consideration, and we still, like we said, we're still considering Portugal because we love it. But now we're opening our minds a little, which I think no matter what you have to do when you're going and exploring what the next chapter of your life is going to be. You've got to keep your mind open. Otherwise, you're just going to get pigeonholed into something, and we're trying not to do that. So, yeah. So that was exciting, and that was on our way home. So we did that, and then hopped over to London for a couple of days just to make sure we were freezing, and got used to cold weather again and rain. And then we went from there to Portland because that's where our kids are, and it was Thanksgiving, and we went to see our kids in the cold rain, which was really beautiful too, honestly. Thanksgiving Day was actually beautiful, right? It was really nice.
It was really beautiful.
Yeah. The next day I got a really bad flu, so it wasn't my favorite experience, but that day was amazing and it was totally worth it. And that was a nice entree back into Southern California.
And we're happy to be home. We're obviously happy to be in our house. We're happy to see our friends again.
Yeah.
We miss so many things about living in Southern California. And it's, but we still are feeling committed to giving ourselves another experience, just living somewhere else, even if it's for a year, just to see what it's like and see if it makes sense for us. That's our kind of summary of what we've been up to for the last couple of months and where we're heading. And we'll keep you updated on what our plans are as we kind of move forward with this Spanish adventure.
Right. Stay tuned.
Yep.
Ciao.